Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Player Issue Podcast Cave Sessions. Here we are for the very first episode. We're excited. I'm super excited to be here. This is a long time in the making. We've been making these audio podcasts for a little while now, but we've decided that time is right to get our heads on video. I know mine's not the prettiest head in the world, but we really enjoy actually being on video and doing some weird stuff. So here we are. And I say we because I'm joined by my guest host, Emma, the lovely Emma. Welcome, my wife.
I don't enjoy being on camera. I asked if I looked like a spud before, and you said yes.
Oh, that we fixed it. We fixed it though, right? So, I mean, yeah, you look beautiful.
He still called me a spud.
But anyway, we're here. We're having fun. This is our first episode, so no doubt things are going to go wrong. It's going to be ugly. It's going to be weird. Not you. It's the show's going to be ugly because, well, I mean, I've written a run sheet, but it's not probably going to be perfect. I'm trying to edit this myself. So I have a stream cam or stream deck here, which if anyone knows what that means, it means I'm the one flicking between cameras. So there's me and there's Emma, and I'm doing that on the fly. So I'm probably going to stuff up at some point. The reason I'm doing that is because I don't want to edit after this. I don't want to edit all night long. So the least amount of editing that I'll have to do, flicking between cameras, the better, because I'm not a video editor at all. So I struggle with the audio editing, let alone video. I don't even know how to do it. So we're just going to do this, and it's pretty much just going to be one take stuff. So it can be good, can be bad.
Can be entertaining.
But it's going to be fun. So we're going to give you a little bit of a rundown of what we're going to do. And I'll be honest, Emma's going to hold up the rundown because I can't see it. She's actually turned the screen off, so I needed to turn the screen back on for me so I can see it. So, yes, as I said, this is the first one, and we are pretty much just learning what we're doing.
An idiot.
It's going to be fun, but there'll be some stuff ups. So, our little rundown. So, what is the cave sessions going to be? So, obviously, we're in the cave. This is the cave. Welcome, everybody, to the cave. Obviously, I've introduced our lovely co-host Emma.
The spud.
I think I said guest host before, did I not? But I totally meant co-host.
Oh, no.
I'm sorry.
Spud.
So what we're planning on doing, obviously during the season, will be a little bit different. We're hoping to do it every week. Once a week, we're going to be sitting in here in the cave and just talking gibberish. During the season, I think that'll be more than likely to happen. Off season, we'll do it as much as we can. But yeah, we'll try and do this as much as we possibly can, as much as Em can handle talking to me in the cave. It's actually getting quite warm in here as well.
Really
I've turned the heater on. It's 27 degrees, so I might have to turn that down at some point. All right, so the rundown that we are going to be talking about. So for our first episode, it might be a little bit different to future episodes, but probably will still be the same. We're just going to have a little bit of a chat about the end of the season, so the Brownlow and the grand final. We'll have a little bit of a talk about. As you can see as you won't be able to see right now because Em's holding up my phone for me, so I don't want to switch to her. You would have seen the fabric of our club, the Adelaide Crows book, which was done by the project, and a few contributors, which we'll go through as well. We'll do a little bit of a review on that as time goes by as well. We'll talk a little bit about some of the sales that are upcoming. We'll answer some of the viewer questions, which have been sent in by our lovely viewers or listeners at the time, but now have become viewers because here we are on a video podcast. How exciting. And then we're going to finish it off with a little segment that we will call What's in the Cave. So what that is all about is we basically sent out requests for numbers from all you people, and you had absolutely no idea what it was about. You just sent out random numbers to us, and what we did with that is I just collated all those numbers that you guys picked, and we're going to switch over to a wheel at some point. Those of you who are familiar with the lottos will know all about these wheels, the wheel of names. All of those numbers that you guys picked are on those wheels, on that wheel. So you won't actually have had any idea why I asked you for those numbers, but it's going to make more sense once we get into that segment. So the segment is going to be, we're going to draw one of those numbers, and the people who have picked that number will get their name read out on the show. Yippee. It's a thrill, I'm sure. And then what Emma's going to do is she's going to get up and she's going to stand behind there and she's going to go through all those cabinets. Ideally, hopefully it's a early number.
I hope so.
And she's going to have to count 1 through however many until she gets to that number. And then she's going to pull that jumper out and we're going to have a bit of a talk about it.
Poor homeschooled girl has to count. Horrible.
So that is our run sheet. And that is basically what we're going to be doing in the future. Unless you guys have an idea of a segment, for all means, like tell us what you would like us to do or what you want us to talk about, what you want to hear about. Because we'd love to just enjoy doing this. And I'm sure you guys will enjoy hearing your own segments or questions on the show. So please send them in. Whatever you'd like to hear or see us do, let us know. We're here for you.
Oh, wow.
We are here for you.
Editing, he says.
I'm going to try. I'm going to leave this in.
You should leave that in.
All this awful stuff that's happening.
In.
Which is pretty much the entire show.
Every time people like have your podcast and they think, oh, he sounds so good. That's not how it sounds. You should hear the shit that like is through it. Like stuff ups. The amount of times you record your opening and close segments. I can hear you in the cave being like, welcome everyone. No, welcome everybody. Milo, shut up. Welcome everybody. Damn it. And it goes on for ages. This is us.
Sadly, you're not wrong. It happens all the time.
This is us.
Yes, the beauty of audio editing is I can stuff up as much as I like, and it's easy to fix. Video, like I said, I have no idea how to fix it, so this is all going to stay because I don't know. I don't want to do it.
Take it or leave it.
So what you see is what you get. So enjoy, I hope. So Emma, the past week we've seen the end of the AFL season. Great season it was, 2022. We saw a new Brownlow medalist taken out, and we, of course, saw a new premiership winner. New premier. Good to see I can spit my words out. So what we're going to have a talk about is what were our thoughts on the Brownlow for a start. So we'll go back a little bit and we'll talk about the finals for a start. So obviously us being Freo fans, we're very excited that Freo did make it. Devastated that Carlton couldn't get over the line in one of those games. The round 22, round 23, where they lost by, I think it was 2 or 3 points to Melbourne.
A couple of points.
2 or 3 to Melbourne, something like that. And then,
but they were in front the whole game, and then they just gave it away.
Yeah, you're talking about the Collingwood game.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. No?
Carlton
Collingwood,
Collingwood, yeah, and they just gave it away.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like they forgot that they had this amount of time left and was just like, oh, cool. Home stretch, making it to finals, and I screwed it up.
Well, yeah. I mean, I was rooting on Carlton, obviously, because I wanted them to win because we needed them to win for the Freo stance. Would have got us in the top 4. So I was a massive Carlton fan for those 2 weeks. Well, it was started with Collingwood needed to beat Sydney in that round 22, and they buggered that up.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, we turned into Carlton fans. They need to win against Collingwood.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it didn't really matter about the Melbourne and Carlton game, but they had every chance themselves to get themselves into the 8 by just winning one of those 2 games. And they should have beaten Melbourne, and they buggered it up. And so they had to go into round 23 and win that game. So we turned into Carlton fans for that game.
Mm-hmm.
I remember sitting in here right behind my head. You can actually see the projector in the background there. I sat here and I loaded myself up and I got excited to watch the game and I put a blanket on and I was pumped. And cracker of a game. It was amazing. Where were you actually?
I was here. I was watching it. And then I gave up when they started losing and I went and took the dog for a walk.
What, in the last second of the game?
Yeah.
Because they were winning pretty much the entire game. It was back and forth a little bit, but Collingwood are just, I don't know what happened this year. They were just ridiculous. Like ever since they played us early on, they just kept coming back and winning all these games ridiculously. Got to give it to them. They had a hell of a season and they played some very exciting games. Emma's over there saying she hates Collingwood.
Anyone that's a Collingwood fan, but I'm sorry, they just every time they're just there. Like, go away, give us a chance, piss off.
But they did beat us.
No, they did. No, honestly, they are a good team. I may say I hate Collingwood, but I mean, I'm sure a lot of people say, oh, they hate Freo and they hate this and they hate that. I don't hate Collingwood. I just hate that every time we're with a chance, we have to play them and we know they're going to smash us because they are so much better than us. They are so much better than us.
Yeah, I mean, I think we watched a couple of the Collingwood games at especially in the year, obviously that Carlton one. And you said to me that if we play against Collingwood, we're no chance.
We're screwed. As soon as you said when we played that game against Bulldogs and we won, and you were like, oh, looks like we're playing Collingwood. I was like, we're not going any further. That's it. We're done. We are done. And to be honest, Collingwood should have made it into the grand final. It should have been a Collingwood game.
Cool. Well,
Sydney didn't show up, so.
Yeah, right. And the game against Sydney, Sydney were controlling that whole game the whole way through. And then Collingwood did Collingwood. They came back and they almost pulled that one
I
off
reckon
as well.
give it if it had maybe 10 more minutes on the clock, I might have won.
10 more minutes, plenty of time. They would have won that easy.
They
I only needed an extra 2 or 3 minutes. They would have won the game,
Yeah.
I reckon. But it was controversial. A controversial push in the back, which I don't think it was a push in the back anyway. Tom Papley getting into Darcy Moore's back. There's a bit of controversy about it, but for me, it was in the side. It was fair, so I didn't agree with that. But Collingwood were raging home, and they probably should have taken the chocolates, and it would have been a cracking game. Geelong's Collingwood.
It would have been a really good grand final. A really good grand final.
So anyway, we move on, and Freo unfortunately didn't get past Collingwood. They made us look silly. But that game against the Bulldogs was amazing.
Ugh.
Watching them come back from 41 or 42 down.
Amazing is an understatement. It was stressful. I had fake nails on, and I didn't have any fake nails by the end of it. Plastic, pure plastic, and I didn't have any left by the end of it. I also had no money left because I just thought, well, I'll just keep going and buying burgers and popcorn chicken. This is going nowhere.
Yeah, I pretty much at the end of the first quarter, I think I decided that, okay, well, it's very sad that it's ended here. At least we've made it to the finals. But
way to end, though.
No, I was pretty sad by that. It was looking like it was a really disappointing way to end the season. But I was kind of happy that it was going to happen because we would have been there for Dave's last game. So I'd kind of resorted myself to, all right, at least we're here for that. I'm kind of happy about that. But it's a shitty way to go.
And then you've got to rocket up their ass and
yeah.
I don't know what else you want me to say. Like,
I mean, the dumbfounded reactions that we have right now is how it was on the day as well, because it was belief though. It was pretty weird because we're down 42 and then a miss kicks the first goal. I think it was a miss, and it was all of a sudden everyone's like, "Oh, okay, we've got a little bit of something about us here. This could be we kick another one and we're in the game, even though we're down by 36 points at this point." And then Walters kicks a goal, and we're still down by 30, but everyone's belief has just risen. And
the crowd went from completely silent to, oh, okay, that's nice, to, oh, okay, this is happening, to, oh, shit, like, we could win this. Like, yeah.
Yeah,
it was a very silent crowd.
I can't remember whose goal it was, but I remember there being a goal kicked where it got us within probably 12 points or something like that. And I was hitting you. I remember just whacking you, saying, "We're in. We're a chance. We're going to win this." And then even when we kicked the goal, which tied, which was Griffin Logue's goal, which was the drawing goal, I was like, "That's it. We've got this game. It's sewn up."
Yeah, Griffin Logue's goal, mind you, to be fair, if he took the goal where he was actually supposed to take it from, he probably would have missed because he's not the greatest kicker. But then someone crossed over the 50 because they got their so we got given 50, because somehow the players got themselves mixed up and two of them were standing to defend him and then they were like, oh, cool, 50.
Yeah, it's a silly mistake. They made more silly mistakes too. How about the throw in? So Lockie Schultz tackled, I can't remember who it was, on the boundary line, tackled him, dropped him. And then so he started a bit of a kerfuffle. And
Schultz shit stirred this guy all night, and then they finally had a scuffle, and Schultz pulled away, including the guy that he was having a scuffle with, 3 or 4 other players.
Yeah, it was at least 4.
Right in front of where they sit, the interchange bench thing. And then we get a goal out of it. But, oh, no, he threw the ball in. The
Yeah,
umpire
so
threw the ball in.
it's going to tell the whole story if you want to tell the
Okay.
story.
I don't
So,
know, but I'm excited.
yeah, he pulled away about 3 or 4 Bulldogs players, and all the Freo players started to run towards it. I saw Sarong running towards it because he loves a scrap.
Strong and
However,
yeah.
David Mundy he should never be retiring. Very smart man. He stopped him. So he was running towards the bench, and he's yelled out, "No, stop, focus on the ball."
Mm-hmm.
So they stopped and they looked up. Ball was inbounded, and there was 3 or 4 open Freo players who were able to get the tap down, take off, kick a goal. And you see the foot. You know what? If my editing skills are any good, we'll put that video in. So if you're seeing that
Okay.
video right now, I've gotten better at editing, and I need to because you won't see it, but we've just had to cut out a bit because Milo was annoying us in the background. So.
And we decided it was really hot in here.
Yeah,
We're cooking.
it's pretty hot. So we had to turn the aircon down as well because
Cooking.
it's starting to melt. Em's got a hat on, so she probably would have been sweating through it. So
I don't wear hats. I have to wear a hat because I'm too white.
it's actually true too.
No, because my hair is so bleach blonde, I'm white. So for your benefit, you get this like sexy looking Emma with a hat on.
But hey, it's the Player Issue podcast, so we're advertising the show. So
do I look like a spud still?
No comment. Anyway, we move on past Freo because nobody's here to listen about Freo except for a couple of Freo supporters out there who might listen to the show. But we go to the Brownlow medal. So, how did you watch the Brownlow medal with me?
Yeah, I watched it with you. We went to the Peel Thunder game, and by the time the Peel Thunder game had finished, and we said goodbye to Mitch and all that, and got back to the car because we walked a freaking mile. And then we decided to get chips and everything as well. And then we were like, the Brownlow. So I drove and you were watching it in the car on your phone. And then we got home, we quickly rushed to put it on the TV screen.
Yeah, so I think it was about 7 rounds in by the time we got home, started watching
Watched most of it in the car. Well, you did. I was driving. I was listening.
Anyway, no one needs to know all the...
No, we did watch it. That's the story of it. Yeah, no, we did watch it. We made sure we watched it, but we were supposed to be home in time for it. And
super exciting count though. So I think I had money on Took Miller.
Yep.
I wanted Brayshaw to win because Freo. But super exciting count all the way through. A highlight for me, one of them anyway, was Archie. I can't remember the kid's name. Archie something or other.
Oh, the
Oz kicker of the year.
Kid. Yeah, I liked him.
So he was hilarious. So if you haven't watched it, you should probably check it out because he's hilarious. The Oz Kicker of the Year, he's got taken on stage and got awarded his medal, and they had a little
full
interview.
Dressed up, had this cute little suit on, everything. He was a really cute little kid. He was, funny.
He's pretty damn funny. So that was one of the highlights for me. It was just a great count. It was enjoyable to watch, exciting. I don't know. There was a few times I wanted to throw a few things because Took Miller. He came home hard at the end, so that was pretty exciting.
I never expected Paddington. I didn't think even Cripps was in the running for it. Like I always thought it was Lockie Neal and Brayshaw. I didn't actually realise he was in.
Well, it's just because we don't really watch a lot of Carlton.
No, I don't really watch a lot of the Carlton games, so I didn't really know.
But I mean, he did go nuts in that last couple of games. Obviously, there were a lot of controversy around him even playing those games because a lot of people think he should have been suspended. So against Brisbane, he went up for a mark, which I believe was off a handball.
I do remember that. Yes.
And he collected the Brisbane player. I think it was Archie, and he ended up being concussed and missing a week, I believe, after that. So
I think the thing is though is like it's football. People are going to get hurt. Shit happens. I get hurt on the basketball court all the time. It doesn't mean they intentionally did it to me and I should be suspended for it. It just happens.
Yeah, so the problem is that the AFL obviously have a big stance on protecting their head and all that, but that's one of those things that, if it's an accident, it's a little bit hard to say it should be suspendable.
So I'm saying, like, if he's going for the ball and it just happens to clip his head, then it is what it is. Hate to bring this reference into it because it's a Freo player, but when you're a gaff and you punch someone in the face, yeah, okay, you knocked his teeth out. You weren't going for the ball. But poor Gaff should stop being booed. If you're a Freo player, stop fucking booing him because it's really annoying and it's really disrespectful. Like, he's paid his dues. Get over it.
I would hope the Freo players aren't booing him, but You're free supporters.
That's
yes.
what I mean. But just stop. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, okay, he's done it. They're actually friends. And he actually paid for his teeth to get fixed. And he cried. And everyone's, oh, he cried because he's not going to be in the grand final. No, he cried because he stuffed up. Because he hurt someone. He didn't intentionally do it. Brayshaw slipped. Hit him in the face. Moving on.
Moving on.
Moving on.
So that's it. Emma's closed
Moving
the
on.
whole
That's
situation
it.
there.
Goodbye.
It's done.
Coming-
The show's over. Let's go
That's
home.
it.
There's a lot of swearing coming from
This is
you.
what happens when you wear the hat.
I take it we're going to be an explicit podcast or explicit show
I'm
because
sorry if there's any children
if I can
out
beep
there.
it, I guess I'll give it a go.
I'm sorry.
but-
Well, Blake would be very proud of me right now. Blake, I've got the hat on.
He does. She does. Sorry. Well, I'm hoping Blake could probably be wearing his hat too when he's listening to
We're
it.
besties. We've got matching hats and we're besties.
Yes, this is true.
We're swearing besties.
So yeah, as you mentioned, Paddy Cripps took it out, which was a very good race. It was good fun. Come down to the very last votes. So what more can you ask, really? Obviously, Lockie Neal supporters be very disappointed. I know Josh was very
I
disappointed.
think Lockie Neal was disappointed. Lockie Neal even said at one of the when they halfway through the count or whatever, and they had a chat with him, and he's like, I'm pretty sure someone else is going to take it home. Like, he was pretty convinced he wasn't going to get it. So I
Yeah,
don't think he was disappointed.
yeah. No, it was. I don't know what round it was, but I know he said that he wasn't going to get any votes in the last 2 or 3 rounds, and I think he did actually
He
vote
did,
in one
yeah,
of them.
but he was quite prepared to lose, and he wasn't disappointed. I don't think he was disappointed. I think,
Yeah, well, I think it helps that they're friends as well because they all do podcasts and they do apps and things together as well. So I think that helps it. Him and Tommy Mitchell, Lockie Neal, and Paddy Cripps are all Brownlow medalists now, so that's good for them as friends. They're all Brownlows. So great count. It was a lot of fun to watch. Pity about Brayshaw, but he'll be back. And pity about my money going down the tube with Took Miller, but he put up a good fight and did really well. So we'll come to the grand final. So it wasn't just the grand final for us. It was a very special day for us, was it not?
Well, not really the day. No.
I mean, it was.
No.
Okay, Thursday. So the 2 days before. You want to tell the people what it was the 2 days before that?
It was my birthday.
And how old did you turn?
Too old.
29. She turned 29 on Thursday the 22nd. We had a great time. Do you want to tell people potentially what you got as presents, maybe?
Bought me some plants.
Lovely.
Someone else bought me a plant in a pot.
Lovely.
I got a candle.
Lovely.
Got some flowers.
Lovely. Disneyland. We didn't. Well, you did. You got a Disneyland ticket, but I guess it wasn't.
And flights to Disney.
That's flights to LA. Yeah.
Going to Disneyland.
So yes, we are going to Disneyland on March 19th to April 5th. We should do a show from Disneyland or from LA. That'd be pretty cool. So someone's excited. That's good because it cost me a lot of money.
And he's now screwed because my 30th is next year, and what do you buy me?
Yeah, I'm screwed. I don't know
Yeah,
what to
you've
do there.
really you've really stuffed yourself there. It's gonna be so much Baby Yoda merchandise.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on. This isn't footy related.
Well, it will be because we'll do a show. So come April, March, whenever it was, I just said,
It'll be footy season, won't it?
it will be. So we were probably going to miss the first game, which
Yeah,
is
because we missed it last time we went to America.
yeah. So we had to watch the round 1. Yeah, we had to watch round 1 and potentially round 2 actually.
It's
From
like 2 o'clock in the morning or something ridiculous like that. 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
I stayed up and watched it.
Yeah,
I know
you
you
did.
didn't.
Yeah, I was gone. You just told me the results in the morning. Cool, that's nice.
Yeah, so we'll do a show. So it is technically footy related, not technically because it will be. When it comes, we will do a show from LA. That'll be exciting. It won't be anywhere near as professional as this
And I'll make him wear Disney ears.
on the show.
Yes.
Okay.
Hold him to that.
Okay. All right. Deal.
So anyway, grand final day.
Grand final day, which
Emma's 29th birthday. Whoop whoop.
so it was a grand final and Emma's 29th birthday extravaganza.
That's right.
And it was so extravagant that about 8 people showed up.
Most of them being my nana and my granddad and my mum and dad.
Silly us to think that people would come to a party on grand final day when it's a long weekend with very little notice as well. So that happens. But we had a good day. I know I did, and that's not because I got drunk. I only had 2 drinks, I
Oh, you
think,
didn't actually drink that much.
but I had a good time. It was fun setting it up, and it wasn't fun setting up the TV. I literally got it done with 3 minutes before bounce down,
Mm.
but it got it up, and it's been trying to get built for the last probably 8 or 9 months. So I'm glad I finally got
Yeah.
that TV built.
It was the stand, not the TV.
Well, yeah, sorry, the stand got built today with 3 minutes to spare, and the game unfortunately did not deliver. It was
Oh no.
quite sad, and again, I lost money. Um,
Uh, I'm sorry, that was evil.
it
So
was super evil.
here's the thing: is if your wife tells you something and your mother-in-law tells you something else, and you go with what your mother-in-law said, that's what you get. If you're going to start listening to your mother-in-law more than you listen to your wife, then you deserve to lose your money.
Yeah, look, it was a
First goal.
mistake.
First goal. He's like, first goal. Who should I go with? And I said
Tom Hawkins.
Hawkins.
Yeah,
He's like, nah. I'm gonna go with Cameron.
yeah. So I was like, nah, I'm going with Jeremy Cameron. I think he was paying. I think he was actually paying the least amount.
I don't know. Yeah.
So Hawkins was paying more.
But I wasn't even watching the grand final at this point. I was in the kitchen making pizza, and we've just heard Aaron at the top of his lungs start screaming, and he's looking at me from the kitchen window, just staring at me. And I went, "What?" And he just said Hawkins, and I was like, "That's what you get." And then Mum told you that Sydney was going to win, so you put money on Sydney winning, and they
Yeah.
lost.
To be fair, I wouldn't have put money on Geelong. I don't think because they were paying $1.40, and it's no fun. Trying to win a couple bucks, it's pointless. So I thought I'll chuck money on Sydney. They're paying more, and they let me down severely. They didn't show up at all. So I think Franklin got his contract during the week, and that was a mistake because he didn't show up. Um, yeah. So unfortunately, and I also put money on Isaac Heaney to win the Norm Smith medal, and I didn't think he had a touch before half time.
I
So
think I even said to you at one point, I was like, "Is Franklin playing?" And you're like, "He's on the field. We just haven't seen him
yeah,
because I hadn't seen him at all."
yeah, no, it was bad for most, if not all, of the Sydney players. There was probably 2 that could hold their head high, but that was about it. Outside of how piss poor the game was, because really it was, there was a few really good things come out of it. So I'm sure if you watched the game, you would have seen Joel Selwood took Gary Ablett's son, Levi, I think his name was,
Yep.
through the banner. Obviously, Levi has been fighting a life-threatening illness or disease. I think he's got a congenitive disorder. Congenitive? I'm not sure that's the word, but
Sure. Yeah.
it's unfortunately it's not great, and he probably won't live a long, happy life, unfortunately. So it's pretty sad, and he's been going through it since before he finished football. So yeah, super sad. So watching him pass Levi on to Joel um, was pretty emotional.
I don't even think it was that bit. I mean, that bit was emotional, but it was as soon as the song for Geelong started playing and he started walking, he had the biggest smile on his face and he just started laughing, and everyone was like, "That was really cute." Like the kid, like
Yeah,
yeah, he just was so happy. And then all the boys like lifted the banner, so he didn't have to like break the banner with him in his arms and stuff. And yeah,
yeah, yeah.
they put a bit of thought into it.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. And then, yeah, like you said, just watching him, he looked like he was a little bit terrified, like, oh, what's going on here? But then as soon as that song started and he saw the rest of the boys
Hugest
and knew what was
smile.
about to happen, he just super happy,
He
kicking,
really
and it
did.
was great. And passed him back on to Gary as soon as he
You
went
see,
through.
Ablett was like quite like emotional about it too.
I'm sure he was super appreciative, which was really cool to see. And Gary didn't even stick around to watch the game.
No,
So because I was looking at the Instagram stories throughout, and I saw that Gary was posting Instagram stories from his house, watching it on TV. So
probably because of it's too much for his kid to be there. So
mm,
it's probably too much like stimulation and too much going on and too much noise. So it's probably enough just for him to go on the field and then go home. It's probably a lot easier for him to just watch it there.
yeah, so really cool. Obviously, Gary wasn't there to bask in the glory at the end, but I'm sure he absolutely loved it watching it from home, and he would have been stoked with what happened throughout the
Mm.
day. So really cool from Joel, but it didn't stop there with Joel. I know a lot of people out there probably don't give Joel Selwood his plaudits, so he's due because can be times where people think he's a bit of a flopper or whatever, throws his head, ducks his head, whatever, and people don't like that. However, when you see the type of stuff that Joel did on the day, it really shows the type of human being he is, and it just that throws everything else out the window. And I think he won a lot of supporters, a lot of fans
It's
on the
funny.
day.
I knew his name, but I never really paid attention to him as a player. Like I never really paid attention to him. I would never look at him and be like, oh, that's such and such. I just never paid attention to him as a player because he doesn't play on my team. And then when I saw that, and then afterwards, and I've seen all these videos on like TikTok and Facebook and that, and I'm like, oh, I like him. Like I never knew who he was. But it's not I didn't know who he was. I knew the name, but I could never put his face to it and go, oh, that's definitely him. Never paid attention to him. And I think that's a lot of people too. And now they're like, do you know what? I like him.
Yeah,
I really like him.
I agree, and it didn't just stop there either. So when he went up to get his medal, and Archie was back, our old mate Archie from Oz Kicker of the Year, he was back up on stage to give Joel his medal, and Joel had pulled off his boots. And as he went up, and Archie said, "Congratulations." Joel said, "I have a present for you." Obviously, he gave him his hat, but then he also gave him his boots as well. So, and you could just see how Archie was stoked with that. And
Yeah, but he didn't just give it to him and then take the celebration and walk away. He was like, no, come back, take a photo, wave to the camera, off you go.
yeah,
Like
he made sure he waved
he
to the
didn't
camera.
just celebrate. What about the other player that knocked that kid's hat off and about punched her in the face?
Yeah, so Tommy Stewart,
He didn't mean
he,
to.
he didn't mean to. Obviously, he's adrenaline and excitement. He just wanted to get that medal on, and he was pumped. And he
So
knocked that hat off the kid's head. I don't know how he actually missed a
whisker
nose, to be
away from
honest.
punching her in the nose. Like, oh my
I know,
god.
he feels bad about it. He's already put out a couple of pleas to get her, so he can apologize and obviously shake her hand and do the right thing and take a photo with her probably. So she'll no doubt reap the benefits from it. But yeah, it's pretty awkward. There's always some
Yeah,
sort of awkwardness that happens on grand final day.
Yeah.
It's probably the only one,
Someone
really.
always forgets to shake a kid's hand and walks off. And I get it. Like you've just won grand final and you're like, yeah, we did this, and you forget about this poor little child that's like. But what I mean with like him is he went up, gave him his boots, and he went to walk away, and he was like, no, come back, take a photo, and he's like, wave at the camera, like have your 5 seconds of And then he had
Well,
his little
Joel's done it a
celebration.
few times as well. This is his fourth premiership, so he's had a bit of practice with that.
Has he?
But I find it weird that players probably watch the other grand finals and they see it happen. You think they would know that they need to go up there, shake the kid's hand, and acknowledge the
Yeah,
kid.
but
But
it's hard because the kids are hesitant as well. They are really young kids. And so, like, they may be told, oh, yeah, you do this and you do this and you do this. But it never goes to plan. Like, the amount of times the players get up there and they give them the hats, and the hats are folded inside.
Mm.
And most of the players walk up there and go to put the hat on their head and they're like, oh, it's still folded, but it's too late. It's like, yep, move on. But some of them obviously have had experience. So I watched some of them and they grabbed it by the brim and like shook it out to put it on the kid's head because, the amount of time, it's hard. It's very rushed. It's like grab medal, shake hand, move on, grab medal, shake hand, move on. And then they're trying to like have their moment up there and some poor child ends up getting in the way of it. It happens.
It's pretty funny. It is awkward, but
Some of the kids don't even put their hands out because they're nervous.
yeah, well, that's it. It
They're
goes both
they're just
ways. Some of the
kids.
kids are nervous as well, so
Yeah,
I
they're just
understand
kids.
that.
Like, yeah.
But no, great moments. Obviously, Joel's one was a fantastic moment, and it just continued. So I don't know if you saw this one either, but when they were doing a lap of honor and they saw Sammy the Waterboy.
Yeah.
So Sammy the Waterboy, I think he's a Down syndrome gentleman, but he's full of life, and he obviously
He's
works.
pretty funny.
He's hilarious, and he clearly works for the club. I don't know if he's
Yeah.
a volunteer, but he loves his job.
I'm not sure if he's a volunteer, but apparently one of the Geelong boys, because they asked him, they said, how did you get your job? And someone contacted Geelong, and then the Geelong coach, I think, or one of the players at the time, I'm not sure, contacted him and was like, we got a job for you.
Mm.
So I think it's a job.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's a job.
That's pretty cool. Like, that'd be great if they do pay him because I mean, people like that, personalities around the club, you need that because they all love him. You could just tell. And when Joel was walking around the ground and saw him in the crowd, he ran over there and grabbed him and said, "Come with me."
Yeah, he heard
pulled
him.
him out
He said,
onto the
I want
field.
you on the field.
Yeah, and then they took him into the rooms and made sure he loved it. And then they took him in for an interview and he had a beer.
The interviewer was like, let's take that off you. I don't think that's good on camera.
Not a good look for children on camera, but
good on him.
yeah, he's having a good time with his beer. So
And I think the thing is as well is I'm not obviously don't shoot me for this, but I don't know a lot of the Geelong players apart from like Dangerfield and that. The blonde guy that was having the interview with him,
yeah, De Koning.
is that him?
Yeah.
Okay. there was so much noise going on in this room that this woman, the interview lady, she was asking him
Daisy Pierce.
questions, but he couldn't hear her. And obviously he's got Down syndrome as well, so it takes him a bit to sort of like process. And she'd just stare at him. And so the blonde player that I'm talking about then like had his arm around him and was like, this is what she's asked you. So like he could have just walked off and left him, but he stood there with him and he like had his arm around him and he was like, this is what she said. What do you think? You know, so because she was just staring at him like
first year player as well, so it's good.
Yeah, she's like, I've asked you a question and staring at him like, you know, but he can't hear her. It was so loud in that room, I guarantee you. And he was so good with him. He just kept saying, oh, this is what they asked you. And then someone came up behind him and shoved themselves in between the arm and was yelling and that, and he was trying to answer a question and he was like, all right, calm down, and like told him to go away. Because
I missed that.
Didn't you see it? I'll find it for you. Yeah, he put his hand, he was like, yeah, Geelong, and he was like, all right, calm down, mate, and like pushed him away.
I have to watch that.
Because this was his moment, like, you know, it was his interview, and this drunken buffoon was like ruining his moment.
Drunken already. They just won the premiership and they're already smashed.
I don't think it was a player.
Oh, okay.
No, it wasn't a player. It was someone else, a family member maybe, or something. I don't know. I'll find it.
Yeah,
I'll find this, but it's funny. It's just why he's like, yeah, calm down, take it easy. Like,
But anyway, so Joel Selwood, a lot of time for him now. I think everybody was waiting for him to announce his retirement.
Well, he came out with a piece of paper.
Well, they generally do that if they're a captain and they have a speech written, or even if someone writes it for him, they'll generally have something prepared, so they don't forget sponsors most of the time. However, like I say, he's won a lot of fans. Good on him, Joel. Everyone was waiting for him to announce his retirement. I hope he doesn't. I hope he continues on.
His goal was good too when he just dropped to the floor.
Oh, you can see the emotion.
The emotion. Just like, give us a hug. Like, yeah.
The emotion when he kicked that goal and then everyone's picking him up and big hug. I think that was a point where I was like, oh, maybe he is going to retire.
And was it his mum?
Yeah.
She was absolutely bawling her eyes out.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It might not be. But it was nice that he got a goal. But yeah, you could just see like how overcome with emotion he was. And obviously at that point they already knew they were going to win as well. There was no loss at this point.
Yeah. Obviously, they're just super excited to win the game. So, I mean, you could read into as much as you like.
Hawkins was crying like 14 minutes, less than 14 minutes into the fourth quarter. And we're like, can't blame him, I suppose. But keep yourself together. There's still a game to go.
You could just tell Hawkins is a very emotional man. I don't know if you saw the footage the next day. I think you did, because I think you've told me about it. Jeremy Cameron, he's a country boy, and I don't know how he's ended up there, but the first thing he's done, he's gone to a farm, probably where his parents live. I'm not too sure. I haven't really looked into it.
Cow, on a baby cow. He's put his medal on a calf, and he's like really drunk. You can hear him, and he's like, he's got my medal, and the cow just runs off, and he's like, I'll grab it in the morning. It's okay, you enjoy it. And they're just like, he's wasted.
Just let him keep it.
Yeah. So there's a calf out there somewhere with the medal on it. You can find it.
So obviously Jeremy Cameron was part of the 89-point demolition when he played for GWS, and now he's a premiership player for Geelong. So obviously he would have been loving that and living it up. So he's given his medal away to a cow. So hopefully he's got it back, but it made for a great story and a great TikTok. So, and it continued on. Obviously, when players get a win in the grand final, they go a little bit nuts. So today, Mad Monday, everyone would know the story about Geelong. Over the last few years, they've been called the old boys, the old team, the old folks home, the retirement home for players. So where you go to finish your career. So it's been a running joke, and today they took themselves not seriously.
Dressed up as a retirement village.
They've even borrowed a retirement home's vehicle.
The soccer mum van.
Yeah. So they could have a wheelchair access and everything into it. So they've borrowed that, and they've all dressed up as old folks. They've fallen out of the car, and they played it up fantastic.
Sheffield's even like grayed his hair and his like mustache and everything to make himself, and slicked it over, combed it over to make him look, because he was like supposed to be one of the volunteers or something.
Yeah.
And who fell out the car?
I'm not actually sure who it was, to be honest.
And he's like, he comes out with his walker and he falls out the vehicle, and Dangerfield's like, no, you've done it again. You know, it's funny. Watch it if you can find it.
Yeah, it's hilarious. I actually want to see some more videos from today from Mad Monday. It would be hilarious.
He was dressed up as a chicken, though.
What?
Yeah, he was dressed up as a chicken.
What chicken?
He was dressed up as a chicken, like just a chicken.
For real?
Yeah, because Dangerfield's all grey, and he was like, "There's a chicken in the house," and there he is, like all like feathers on him and a beak. Yeah, it was just a chicken. I'll find that one
We
too.
need to see this.
Yeah,
I haven't seen
he
that.
was dressed up as a chicken.
Honestly, the only videos I've seen from it is when they got out of that
Oh
car.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I need to see some
Cameron
more.
was dressed up as a chicken.
Let's go.
I'll find them.
So good on them for doing it because they would have absolutely loved it and it would have been fun and everyone would. If anyone was there, they probably hide it out for themselves, I guess. But if anyone was there and saw it, no doubt some fans or whatever saw it, it would have just been the most freaking hilarious thing they would have ever seen, I
Yeah,
reckon. So, hopefully some more videos come out from that because I'd love to see it. But it's funny that a lot of people are saying, "Oh, they're taking the piss out of the elderly. It's embarrassing." It's quite the opposite, I think. They're taking the piss out of themselves, and I don't know why people have to talk for the elderly. Like there was a lot of elderly people saying, "I'm elderly," and it's hilarious.
That's funny, and this is the thing is like we're too freaking sensitive. Like it's just a joke. They're not picking on the elderly. It's more of a joke because everyone's been calling them old. So they're like, fine, if you're going to call us old, we're going to be a retirement village. This is what you expect us to be.
Mm,
You expect us to be. You're basically saying we should be in a retirement home. So we'll
yeah,
do what you say.
yeah.
They're not taking the mickey out of the elderly. I don't know. Don't be so sensitive.
Well, that's it. They're just having fun. Let's get rid of some of the PC bullshit for a little while and
Yeah.
just enjoy ourselves.
Yeah.
Yep.
They've just won the grand final. Let them have some fun. Jeez.
Well, there was actually a photo as well today. I don't know if they went and did the trophy presentation somewhere in the middle of the field somewhere. And Mark Blitzarves, and very difficult to say, but I'm actually impressed that I said that. Blitzarves.
Stop saying that. 'Cause I'm not going to say it.
Go on then.
What?
Blitzarves.
No.
Okay, so there was a photo of him holding his medal up, still fully kitted out, boots, socks, jersey, socks, shorts, everything, still in exactly the same as when he left the field yesterday. So 24 hours later, still wearing exactly the same thing.
Max Gorn did the same.
Max Gorn. So last year when the Demons won the premiership, they were spotted walking pub to pub, still fully kitted up, and then 2 or
Boots.
3 days later, still in their same kit.
Footy boots, jersey, shorts, hadn't had a shower, covered in grass still. Who cares? Good on him.
Carrying the Premiership Cup everywhere.
He was drinking out of the cup.
Yeah.
Good on him.
2 or 3 days later, they're just continuing on the party wearing their full kit. They would have loved it.
Who cares? Let him have a bit of fun. And it's like, before we go off subject, but this is like, I read something the other day. Everyone's going, oh, who was it that made a comment about the Brownlow? Oh, they're drinking and it's not very good for children. And Patrick Cripps overdid it with his drinking. Well, they've just worked how many months without a break?
It was actually Sam Newman, I believe, that
Of course
said,
of
of all people,
course
Sam Newman should not be saying that it's a bad look on TV for people to be drinking on TV.
No.
Like you said, these guys just finished a season,
Yeah.
and this is their chance to get out in a public environment, but in a black tie and suit environment, and just have a good time. And they're allowed to have a few drinks, and they had a good time. They didn't Brendan Favola it. They didn't try and pressure point anybody.
The thing is, as well, is like at the end of the day, is they're just at a table, and it's every time you get a vote, you either chug or you have a sip. Big deal. That they don't have any more footy to play. They've just played just under 6 months of footy, maybe whatever it is.
Something like
And
Milo's in the
Milo's just
background
having
having
to go up the dog next door. They've just played 6 months of footy, no break, no junk food, no alcohol, nothing, like nothing wrong. They've done everything by the book, and then they're having one good night. And then Cripps, of all people, has just won the Brownlow, like almost the biggest achievement apart from the grand final that you can do. And oh, how dare he be hungover the next day? That's not a good look for children. How dare he be hungover the next day? Kids don't look into this stuff unless you make them look into this stuff.
They're still parents. Like parents still have to parent their kids. Like just because they see someone drinking doesn't mean that they're going to go out and drink.
Just all this stuff when I was a kid. I remember watching the Brownlow when I was a kid, and I never went, "Oh my, he's drinking. Oh, I'm going to go and get an alcohol. I'm going to get an alcoholic beverage from the fridge, Mum, because Patrick Cripps is doing it." No, I didn't look into it. If anything, I didn't even know what they're drinking. I probably thought they were drinking cordial, to be honest. I don't know, but who cares? They having fun. They have no more footy to play. Let them have some time off.
Yeah, I mean, it was a little bit looser than most Brownlow medals that I've seen with the sunglasses thing. It was just cringy and weird, but I don't. They're just having fun. Who cares?
Just doing them.
Yeah.
They were just doing them. People probably think we're cringy as well, but
Like,
we're just doing them.
That's exactly right.
Sorry, who cares?
At least we're not Booper.
I'm
Anyway,
getting a lot off my chest today, aren't I?
yeah.
This is going to be the longest episode ever if Emma keeps going.
I think I said that we're going to be making these 25 to 30 minutes
I'm
each.
so sorry. I'll stop.
We've been going for 45 minutes.
It's been so much to talk about. It's been such a long time.
It has been a long time. It's been a long time since we've done a podcast, hasn't it, together?
Yeah.
I don't remember actually last time we did one together.
Don't know. I'm not interested.
Wow.
New days, people, new days. Good days.
You must be interesting enough because you're on now and you're my co-host and you will be until
I was going to
you
say
give
now
up.
I'm your wife, but I haven't got my ring on. I was gardening. I took it off.
At least I'm married.
Gardening. I took it off. Sorry.
All right, so let's get past all the Brownlow Grand Final. So it's over. Caesar's done and dusted. Let's talk about what is to your right, and that is the fabric of our club book. So I'm sure you've all seen it if you're on the Match Worn Playerish podcast. The match, well, I think it was on the Playerish podcast page. I'm not too sure, but the Match Worn and Player Issue Marketplace and a few other places as well. This book was done by fans, so created by, I guess, the project. The project has actually, I guess, championed it, but there's a few contributors to it as well. So this was sent to me to have a look at because it's something that obviously I'm super interested in, and I would imagine, being that you guys and girls out there are also jumper collectors, that it's something that interests you as well. So if you haven't pre-ordered it, if there's any sort of reasons why, we're hoping that today we'll be able to show you how good this book is and get you to pre-order it.
Is that all the names?
So yeah, so the contributors are inside the book there.
Is that last name to first name sort of thing?
Probably. I can't see it.
I'll show you and then I'll read it out.
It is, yes. So
Okay.
I don't know what I don't
understand that. I don't like it, but I realised it looked wrong. So, Fabric of Our Club, an illustrated history of AFL Guernsey's 1991 to 2021. And the names in here are Leighton Ashwell, Andrew Bennett.
Former guest of the show.
Oh my goodness, Sean.
Yeah, I don't know Sean's last name. Castellan, I want to say.
Yeah.
Apologies, Sean.
I'm so sorry.
I've dealt with Sean a couple of times. He's a great bloke, so I apologise. I've never actually learnt your name properly.
We are just really terrible at saying names. It's not you, it's us. Robert Lee.
Rob Lee. So those of us who are listeners of the podcast will remember Rob Lee because lovely, because he has definitely the most premier collection in Australia of football and NBA jerseys.
Okay.
If you haven't listened to Rob Lee's episode, please make sure you do so because you'll find out some incredible stuff that he has in his collection. And make sure you go and follow his Instagram and Facebook pages as well. You like to get to see some of that amazing stuff. Anyway, back to Emma.
Jeremy, is it
McMahon?
Is it McMahon?
McMahon, like Vince.
Oh, wow. Cool name. And Harry Nelly?
Harry Neal.
Neal?
Was it Neil?
Nelli?
It's Nelly. There you go. I always thought it was Neil, so I'm really sorry.
Anyway,
wasn't it McNeil?
No.
Just Nelly.
Nelly, yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm very sorry. I didn't know that.
Either they've spelled your name wrong or we've been saying your name wrong the whole time. But either way, one of us screwed up. So but there you go.
So they're the contributors to the book. So we're going to go through the book and we're just going to show you, not every page because that's going to take us far too long, but we'll show you quite a bit and we'll just give you the basic idea of what it looks like. And we'll just show you how good the book looks.
Went like this. So before this rocked up, Aaron was going on about, we want to do one for Freo, and I just couldn't wrap my head around what the hell are you on about? Like, how are you going to do this? What is the book going to look like? And then this rocked up, and the first thing I said to you was, "Oh wow, this is really cool." Like this was smart. I've never seen anything like this. Aaron kept saying about this book for jerseys, and I was like, I don't get it.
I would have said jumpers, but anyway.
Sorry. I don't get it. Like, what is it going to look like? I couldn't picture it. And because you sent us this, Emma could understand it. And I love it. Like, I thought it was really well done. I even flicked through it, didn't I?
Yeah, you did.
Very,
and Emma doesn't read books, so.
Emma's
but it looks fantastic. So, obviously, there had to be a start of where it began. And obviously, the collectors out there are the place to start. So, I'm glad that it wasn't done by a club because The club doesn't really understand how hardcore us collectors are. And when I say hardcore, these guys have obviously got together and they've got all the jumpers together. But they've also got players, former players, coaches. So Graham Corns actually did the forward as well. The forward,
Surprisingly enough, as well, like
which is super cool to get someone like that to do this.
the clubs don't actually. I don't want to say they don't know that much about their Guernseys. I say Guernsey.
Oh,
But like they don't know as much information. The amount of times we've gone to the Frio store and they've got things listed wrong, and you're like, "That's not that year. This is this year." Like even they sometimes don't know.
a lot of clubs do that. So
Quite.
they'll often put up, sales or whatever, and they have completely the wrong information. And I'll have to go in and say, look,
This is wrong.
this is incorrect. But it's pretty weird. But I mean, that's why us collectors are so hardcore, is because we tend to research a lot more. A lot of clubs, they don't have the time for it. So I guess they will turn to people like us who do research and know a lot of the stuff about this sort of stuff. So I understand. Sorry that I keep going really blurry. That's my fault because I keep holding the book in the way, but try and keep that out of the way.
Do you want me to do it?
So we have, well, the camera's really good. So I'm going to stick with this camera for this because it looks great. Then you got a bit of an introduction about how the project all come together. So super, super, super cool. I won't read it to you because you need to get the book to read it yourself because it is really interesting. But essentially, it all started 10 years ago. Basically, the idea to set out and get every jumper and then turn it into a book, which is, this is the end result, which is exciting and why we're talking about it right now. So they go through by parts and they show you each design on every page. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to show you a couple. And so it's every collector, or the collectors that we mentioned, they've got together and they've taken the photos and they've used their own jumpers. And it's a bit of a history, an introduction here to 1991. And then they talk about the jumper, the design itself, when it was first worn, the manufacturer that created the jumper, and then they tell you who the player is that they are using in that particular design or that picture. As you can see right there, one of the greatest ever in Tony Modra. See, Tony Modra jumpers, Freo Adelaide, are always going to be incredibly sought after. So seeing that is incredibly exciting. So they've got,
who owns that jumper?
that's a good question, and I would love that to actually be in here. I think that's one thing, although in saying that,
There's probably a good reason why it's not in there is because they don't want people contacting them. But I'm just saying, like, did you know who?
I reckon I do, but because they didn't put it in the book,
We
I'll
will leave that
probably
out.
just leave it
Okay.
out. But
Just yes or no answer. Do you think you know who it is?
I think I do, yes.
Okay,
I'm
yeah.
pretty certain I do, and it's pretty amazing.
No, I understand why it's not in there because they would have every Tom, Dick, and Harry under the sun messaging me and be like, I want that jumper. No, yeah, I get that. Invasion of privacy.
Well, yeah, you're right. Because, yeah, they will. They'll have people constantly messaging about it saying, sell me the jumper. So they'll probably get that anyway because they put their names to the book. But
But
it is what it is. And if you create something like this, it's going to happen. But just seeing like the pictures, they're really detailed, really, really good colors. They look beautiful. They're nice and big. No obstacles in the way. Like, just really well done. Like, it looks beautiful. Everything looks gorgeous about it. The writing's great. The book itself is really nice, white pages.
do you know what I think people will like about this book too? Is it's simple.
It's super simple.
I'm not saying it's bad. I'm saying it's easy reading. It's not a whole bunch of words in front of your face. It's very easy reading.
Do you know, I think will really like it? Kids.
I was just about to say young kids can look at this and read this and relate to it.
Yeah.
It's not. I'm not saying it's a kid's book, but it's very relatable to a lot of people.
Yeah, well, that's good because it covers everybody. I mean, kids, if I was a child, when I was growing up, I used to love this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And for me, just seeing the pictures, and I used to be a big
pictures.
statistician, I used to write down all the stats.
Yeah.
So I knew all the players, I knew all the numbers and everything. So seeing this is really cool.
4 to 5 can even look at this and enjoy the pictures and then have this book in their family for years to come. And then the older they get, the more they read it, the more details that they read, you know, like it's a good book that could last a very long time.
Yeah, there's some really cool jumpers in there too. 1997 Darren Jarman grand final jumper. It doesn't get much better than that for a Crows fan. You've also got the 98 grand final jumpers. Like, there's some incredible stuff. And a lot of it is 2 per page. So you've got nice, big, beautiful illustrations, and they look great. Whoever did the photography, I don't know who did the photography, but they've done a great job. So kudos to you. And obviously, whoever provided the jumpers, which no doubt was a collaborative effort, have done well because they look really, really tremendous. So, if you would like to get a copy of the book, please look at the fabric of our club Facebook page. I don't know if they have an Instagram, but if you aren't sure where to get it from, you can always message us here at the Player Issue Podcast and we can pass it on to you where to get one. I'm not sure how much they are, but they're a fantastic book, great read, a lot of great stuff in there. There's a bit more towards the end there as well. So you've got all those jumper designs. You've also got AFLW in there as well. Emma, if you want to.
It doesn't actually say who does the photography. It says photo shoot location.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if that's who does the photography as well, but David and Ellen Bennett.
Okay. Could be, yeah.
Yeah, and it's also got all the boys that I mentioned in here, their Instagram and their Facebook pages.
Ah, cool.
So, yeah.
So I'll show you that as well.
Yeah.
So I'll pass it over. I don't want to crease it, but so on the back page here, it tells you a little bit more information, all the credits in there.
All of the boys, like Instagram and Facebooks, in case you want to check it out.
Yeah. So there you go. That's basically where you can find it. Is the Fabric of Our Club there, Facebook.
I'm pretty sure they could look up the Fabric. Was it Fabric of Our Club?
Yep.
Facebook or Instagram, and I'm sure there would be a link on there to buy the book.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can also visit the project as well, and I'm pretty sure they have links to buy it.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And you can see some of those great players or great people that they've got in to help out with it as well. So Graham Corns, ex senior coach for Adelaide, who did the forward. So it's really great. And I know the Port Adelaide lads have done their book as well, which will be out in December. They've also been able to get some great people in. Now, I think that one of the great things about this, obviously, other than just being the book itself is fantastic, is if you are a Crows fan and you're also trying to collect jumpers, there's a checklist in here. So this is another great thing for kids. So if you want to collect jumpers and you're trying to collect every jumper from the club's history, or you're just in general intrigued about what jumpers that they've worn, there's actually a checklist in the back there. So that's super cool. You can go along and you can tick off your jumpers as well. But it is beautiful.
It's not a crappy book either. Like, it's a hard-covered
Hard
book.
covered,
Like,
yep.
This book is to last like a lifetime.
Pages are lovely. And like I said, it's got some AFLW jumpers in there as well. So it's not just the blokes. We've also got some gorgeous AFLW Crows jumpers in there too.
Basically, all history is in there.
Yeah. So very cool. Very exciting. And it makes me want to become an author. So thank you very much to the project and Rob Lee for sending us this beautiful book. And make sure, even if you're not a fan of the LA Crows, that you hit them up for a copy because it is well worth reading and it's just well worth having in the collection, as we will enjoy. The front, actually,
It's raised.
It's raised, I think. Yeah. But it's got the names of every single player that's ever played in the Crows history, as though it were an anniversary jumper. So that's also a really nice little feature. The jumper itself actually almost looks woolen, just the way that they've done the design, which is super cool, or acrylic, as a matter of fact, as the jumpers were back in those days, made of acrylic. Anyway, beautiful book. Thank you, Emma. You can put that back in your spot for me. So make sure you get yourself a copy of that. And thank you again to the lads for sending us this beautiful copy. Right, Emma. So now we're going to talk about some of the sales that are coming up. And
I hate that word.
When I say sales, I'm talking about in-store sales. So some of the clubs will run an in-store sale where they sell off all their jumpers at the end of the year. It's a very anxiety-riddled day and evening because
It only used to stress you out. It now stresses me out, and I don't need that stress in my life.
well, lucky for you, you won't be staying up all night to line yourself up. But
No, I provide the coffee and the drinks and the the food though.
Yeah, so we got there, I think, 5 a.m. last year. So we're probably doing something similar this year. And it's going to be a long wait. Usually only 4 hours until I get there. But it's a long wait. You do meet some lovely people. But so far, we know of 2 sales that are happening so far this year. I don't know if the Saints have done one previously, but they are doing one this year on the 15th of October at RSEA Moorabbin. I believe that will start at 9 a.m. And Frio's one will be, and this is an exclusive. Boober. Exclusive. Just love using that
We're one
word.
of those people now.
We are. So this is an exclusive for you people listening at home or watching at home. Freo Dockers will be having their sale on November 5th at the Coburn Arc, so at the club's home ground, essentially. Terrified will be the word I would use.
He's already marked it out in my diary, like my work diary.
You have to.
He's already put Freo sale.
Yeah, like I said, you have to. Otherwise, I'm not going to get the help that I need. So it's terrifying. It is a terrifying day, but I look forward to it. I hope I get lots of great stuff. I do every year, but there's always something I miss out on that upsets me.
Missing out. It's just the whole thing. Because every time Erin's like, we're going with a plan. Erin's like, you're going to do this. I'm like, okay, yeah. And I go in and I walk up all the way. Number 5, just for instance, we're like, number 5, number 16, number 7, number 5, number 16, number 7. Get in there and I'm like, shit.
Funny thing is, I always write a list out or a checklist of
Never look at it.
priority for myself. And yeah, by the time I get in there,
Never
I've forgotten. It's nuts. But I should send you the list so you
did.
have it as well. Did I?
You did, yeah. And I literally, you go, okay, these are the 3 main numbers. And I literally, like I said, I walk up the whole hallway and I'm like, this, and this, and this, this, and this. And then I get in and I'm like, fuck. I'm serious.
We're an explicit podcast before we are now.
I'm sorry. It's literally, I just get so overwhelmed. And then everyone's like, I've got, everything's gone. And then in the end, Emma gets sat down in the corner with all the jerseys and I protect them with my life.
I think that's the best thing about it is you'll grab a couple. Last year you just grabbed one rack. You went to one rack and grabbed a handful and you're like, I don't know if there's anything good in here, and you had like 6 fives.
7 to 8 fives in it, and Erin's like, what do you mean? Like, it's great.
So yeah, you grabbed some great stuff and you're like, oh mate, I'm disappointed because I didn't grab everything you wanted me to grab. But I was like,
I think
you get to the point where you're so overwhelmed that you have to go and sit down. But by that point, I've got an armful of jumpers. You had a rack full of jumpers. So by that point, the best thing for us is that you go and you guard and you are basically my clothes rack.
I mean, I could be offended at that, but I'm not. But the amount of people that come up to me and they're like, can I just, no. Can I just, no. Have you got any, I don't know. Can I just go, no, you can't. They mob me. And
Yeah.
I've got to stand my ground now at this point. I even, to the point now, I have to sit on them. So what I do now, I put them behind me and I sit against them because I used to put them next to me and have my arm on them and I had my hand on them and people would still like, no.
So I think this year we'll take a box or a tub or something and just put them in the tub.
Yeah, I'll just take like a really big bag or something. But I've got it to the point where if it's behind me, people aren't game to move me out the way to get to them. But if they're under my hand, people are just like, no.
But anyway, it will be terrifying. I'm excited for it. But so for those that haven't heard about the sales before or listened to our podcast, generally what these sales are is a club will get all their jumpers from the previous year, some from earlier years as well, especially ones that they haven't sold previously, and they'll chuck them all on a rack, and everybody will just go ham for leather and see what they can get.
It's not just jerseys like the Guernseys. It's
Jumpers.
not just jumpers. Oh my God, what do you want me to say?
Jumpers.
It's not just jumpers, but there's footballs. Like there's game use footballs, there's training footballs, there's socks, there's posters. Like it's not just that, it's everything. There's shorts, like they even sell the banners and the Gatorade eskies.
Yeah.
Always sell them too. They always sell them. People always take them. The Gatorade eskies.
I don't think they struggled last year. So they had a couple of the round eskies and they tried giving me one. I was like, I don't want it.
It's not the proper square eskies with the wheels on it. It's the round ones where you put the drink in it and you like and
they even had the bottles in there with the players' numbers still attached to them. It's like, oh, it was a 16 there. I'll take one. But
and even one time when we went, lockers. I had the old lockers there from Subi.
Yeah, I picked up Michael Walters' locker.
Yeah, we ended up buying a locker. We still have that.
Oh, no, we don't. No. Oh, the cave has only got so much room, so we didn't have the room for it, unfortunately. But the person who got it, I can't remember who it was, but Jalen, I think his name was. He's pretty happy with his pickup.
That was a pretty good bit of memorabilia from Subi.
Oh yeah, it was. Yeah, it
Yeah,
was. It was
the Subi
CB.
lockers, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, as Em was saying, they got a lot of random stuff at these sales sometimes, but a lot of great stuff. So make sure you check out the Saints one on the 15th of October, RSCA Moorabbin, and the Freo Dockers one November 5th at Coburn Arc. Both will start at 9 a.m. So come and say hello to us as well if you're at the Freo sale. Ideally, if we are in go mode, and when I say that, if we have got our heads down and we're going through racks, probably just wait. Because I
Yeah.
find every year that people will come up to me and start talking to me. I feel really rude.
It's not talking to you. Like, for instance, I remember last year a guy brought his kid up. Don't get me wrong, that's fine. Like, we'll chat to you. But he was like, "Oh, can you tell us?" And the boy wanted to ask you, but he didn't. So the dad asked. He was like, "Oh, what year is this from?" But the sale had just started, and we are in like there's nothing going on around us. So come talk to us when you see us sitting against the wall. Or when you see me sitting against the wall. You can even come ask me. Like, I don't know everything, but I will still be like, I don't know. I can ask Aaron for you, and I'll ask him, and because I can tell when you're in like just a mode where you're just walking at that point. Like, so don't get us when we first get in there, because I don't want to say it really distracts us, and it's not. It's just we can't think. There's so much going on. I'm really overwhelmed. I don't like being in there because it's such a small space. I get really like flustered, and then you're in go mode, and stopping us is half the time we can't even answer the question for you, and we'll probably end up coming across rude. We don't mean to be rude. We just don't. We're like, this is too much. So yeah, if you see me sitting against the locker, you can come and approach me. Or if you see Aaron with me at the locker, half the time he's just looking what he's got. Go for your life, but not like when we get in there, because we are just like, there's nothing. We just see what we need to see, and we're very go mode.
It sounds weird to say, "Oh, come and say hello to us," or "Don't say hello to us" at certain points. But the fact is that we do love talking to people who are interested in talking to us. But yeah, so please do come up and say hello. But please don't be offended if I've got my head down and I'm not paying much attention. Seemingly pay attention, because I will
Yeah.
pay attention to what you're saying.
Don't get offended if
But
you come up to us and say, "Oh, hey," and we just go, "Yeah, hey, how you going?" and just keep going.
I will listen to you and I will talk back to you. But if I'm not looking at you in the face, I'm sorry. I'm just
Yeah,
focused on my
we are
jumpers.
listening, but yeah, there's a point of like, no joke. He can talk to me and not look at me anyway. He can text and not look at his phone, so he knows what he's doing.
At least I don't do two things at once. When she's texting, it there's no
Oh
such
no, I'm
thing as
gone.
everybody
So if
else.
you see my head down, I don't respond to you. I'm not being rude. I just can't. I'm not a normal female. I can't do two things at once. I can barely.
Anyway, moving on. So the sales are exciting. Hopefully, more clubs do it. I know the Bulldogs have done it in the past. I know there's a petition or a bit of a survey going out by John Rambo. He's definitely the hope is to get the West Coast Eagles to do something, just getting their
I was just
jumpers
about
out
to say
there.
West Coast don't do anything.
No, so it's been a long time since they've actually sold. I think 2018 they sold a bunch of them at the gala auction, which turned into a big mess as well. Where the players took a lot of the jumpers home, and it turned into a nightmare trying to get them. As a matter of fact, they took them home, and then the club said, "Oh, well, they're gone now, so we're just going to have to recreate them, make them for you, and then send them out to you." So a lot of people waited for them just to make some more jumpers and send them to
Stuff
them.
that.
Whereas a lot of people did get worn jumpers
Yeah.
that they won throughout that gala auction. So yeah, it's weird. So 2018 is the last time I've done anything like that. Never done anything like a garage sale or like a locker room sale like Freo and the other clubs have done. But so if you've seen John Rambo's petition and survey out there, make sure you fill it out. Fill out his petition. So I'd just love to see every club do something like that. It's really disappointing to see jumpers go missing. Like they just give them to the players or they give them to sponsors, and these jumpers go missing when there's people like us or other collectors out there who want to complete collections and they can't because they can't get a hold of them and it sucks. And then you have to do the whole pay a shitload of money off people who don't
Yeah,
want to give them
because
up,
they
and
know
it's
what they
difficult.
like.
So
On that though, when you go to the Freo sale, just a heads up if you're here and you're listening, don't open the lockers. Don't open the lockers and don't open the drawers because I'm not joking. There is actual personal effects in there of people's of the players, and it is quite rude. Like just because it's a locker room sale doesn't give you a right to open their locker.
Well, I kind of don't agree. I
Mm.
understand that they shouldn't have the stuff in their lockers anymore.
Yeah.
So the players go in there and they empty the lockers out
Well,
when they do
Five
their
had an
exit.
iPad in there once.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say I didn't open it. Someone else did, but he had an iPad in there. But anyway, I'm not saying it because I'm like, don't do it. It's rude. But there is a lady there, and she gets very angry. And yeah, Clint can like to this too, can't he? Because we were there and we've got it on camera, I think. And people opening their lockers left, right, so especially kids. They're like, "Oh my god, Fife's locker! This is amazing!" And you just heard this top of the voice, this really angry woman stand on the step. She was like, "Everybody, stop opening the lockers!" And it just went dead silent, didn't it?
It was one of these ones. So I'll pull away because it was loud.
Yeah, it was really
So
loud.
people were opening
Go
Fife's
head
locker. It was great
sideways.
fun. And then you just hear in the background, it was super loud. And it was hilarious.
It went from super loud to super quiet, and everyone was just like, "Oh."
And myself and Clint, I think you were all saying it, so we just started laughing our
It
asses
was
off.
really quiet. I was like, "Okay." And she rude.
It was hilarious. So it was piss
She
funny.
was on camera.
It is. I
Yeah.
can't remember why or what camera it was on or what we were doing.
It's yes, ma'am, or okay, or something.
I was
like
recording some. I think I was recording the whole day because I wanted
Yeah.
to do it as an episode, but it didn't turn out because I forgot to talk. I was in that mode. But yeah, that was absolutely hilarious. So I kind of don't agree with the fact that people shouldn't be allowed to look through lockers. They go in, they empty the locker, and then they should say, "All right, cool. The lockers are all empty. You guys can look through them if you like." There shouldn't be
They
anything
should
there
lock
anyway,
it.
so they should find
They
out
should actually lock them
first.
if they don't want people going through.
Well, that's right. They should. If they don't want people to look through, lock it, and then it won't be a problem.
I think most of the thing is there's always a ginormous line to check out, and you go past the lockers, so kids get bored, and people go, "Oh, that's my favorite player," and then they go, "Oh, it's open," and there's a pair of boots in there, so they're like, "Oh my god," So yeah, I get it. It's pretty boring when you're in that line, and that line takes a long time to get.
I can't say don't look through the lockers either because I looked in the bottom drawer of Fifey's one, and there was about 10 pairs of boots
6
in there.
pairs of boots, something, and you're just like,
It's pretty exciting.
I
And
know.
I know the club wants to sell them. They've tried to do it before. Well, they actually got all the boots together and planned on selling them. Last minute, they got told they weren't allowed to sell them because they were the players' own gear. Like they own them, so the club couldn't sell them.
Yeah.
So, but I'm again the thought process. Well, if they didn't empty them out, and because they would have just got thrown in the bin anyway.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
would have come along.
They were dirty
Cleaners would have
boots.
come along and then just put all of them in a bag and thrown them in the bin. Why not just sell them?
They were dirty boots. I remember too. Like some of them had grass on them, and you were like,
Yeah, so boots is one thing that it hasn't quite got there yet with what players or the clubs do with them because I just don't think that they really understand that people would be interested. There's not a lot of value in them, nowhere near as much as jumpers. There probably should be because they usually only have a couple pairs a year, so they're pretty rare, but they just don't have the value that they probably normally would as far as jumpers go.
"Good Lord, we've been on in here for an hour."
We have been on here for about an hour and 12
I'm
minutes
so
now.
sorry.
Anyway.
Okay, we've done that. Let's get to viewer questions.
So the run sheet is being pushed along by Emma. So
Seriously, I had a coffee before this.
yeah, it's 11:15. Just so
It
you're
was a
aware.
public holiday technically today, and I worked as well.
Yeah.
And now I am sitting here with a hat on, looking like a spud. Viewer questions.
Anyway, so let's get to the viewer questions. So we sent out some questions. we sent out for people to ask us some questions. So there's only been a few through, but there's some pretty good ones. Obviously, if you guys would like to hear your questions in the future, please make sure you ask them, and we'll get your questions answered on the show. It doesn't matter what it is. It can be personal questions about myself or Emma, or it can be anything you would like to know about jumper collecting or whatever.
Doesn't have to be football related.
Doesn't have to be. We've got a lot of stuff in here that's not football related, so we can talk about anything. So feel free to send through your questions. But Emma, what is the first question?
I'm going to go with. Did I have to tell you who's asked it?
Absolutely. It's kind of the
Okay.
point of it.
Hamish.
Hamish.
Hamish Clark. Clark?
Yes. Hamish Clark. G'day, Hamish.
Hi.
Happy birthday, by the way, Hamish.
Today.
I think it was yesterday. Could have been today, but I think it was.
September, people. I bet you didn't turn 29.
I'm sure he did.
Yeah.
I'm sure he did. 29 again.
He's a spring chicken. We saw you on TV too, didn't we?
No, we didn't. I
I
thought it
thought
was
sure
him.
we did.
No, actually, we did.
No, we did.
We
Yeah,
did.
yeah, we
I
did.
thought it was him the first time, and I
He
took
took
a photo. And then later on, he looked
it
very
actually
sad and
was him,
upset, and he
yeah.
actually got a photo
Yeah,
of
we saw you.
himself. So
We saw you. Spring chicken. Why is Carlton's woolen jumper the most iconic jersey in the world?
why did I not know about this question before?
Did you see it? Did you see it?
Okay. That's a pretty fair question, actually. I'll give him that. I know he's fishing for a bite here, but it's a pretty good question. The CFC logo, the monogram that they used to stitch onto the jumpers, on the acrylic jumpers, something about them, they didn't look right, which made them cooler for some reason. They look really weird the way they stitched them on. They wanted the 3D kind of look to them, which eventually they went with when they did the 3D logo that was raised off the jumper. But on the acrylic jumpers, yeah, they are they're pretty iconic. So I'm gonna have to agree. I don't know why. I think it's probably the colors, navy blue and white, which looks black and white. But yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you, Hamish. I think iconic acrylic jumpers or woolen jumpers, I'd probably say Carlton would probably be number one. What do you got next?
Go Scott. Is it dowsing or dosing?
You're the one reading it, so
Had it.
Scott Dowsing. I'm not sure. I know Scott, but again, I can't.
Sorry, we are so bad at names.
We're gonna have to learn everybody's last names. I think
We're not names. I mean, come
Scott Dowsing. I'm going with.
Okay, and if I got it wrong, I'm sorry. Please don't shoot me. Thoughts on official memorabilia being used for club auctions? Personally, not a fan of $50 bidding increments.
Yep.
Plus $29 postage is too high.
Agreed. Absolutely hate it.
$29 postage.
$29 postage. So let's be fair. They're actually, for the $29 ones, they are putting them in boxes. So they're doing presentation boxes and they're sending them out those. So they're a little bit more expensive. Shouldn't be $29. I think it probably only costs them about 15 to 17 or so.
Unless you want express or something like that.
Yeah, so I don't even think that was an option. So I could be wrong there. I won one of the LA Crows red jumpers from this year, and I think it was about $29 postage. When they got sent out today, I think it's been about 4 weeks. I hate the $50 increments. I have no idea when that became a thing. The first time I saw it was the LA Crows auction. $50 increments is ridiculous. So I think it started at $50 as the opening bid, and you have to go up for $50 from there. I guess it probably takes away a lot of people because then they have the 11% buyer's premium as well, which is awful. And if you don't realize it, then you're going to be in for a shock when your bill comes through. It just keeps stacking. So like you win a jumper for $300 and you're like, oh, beauty, I've won a jumper for $300, which I budgeted for. Turns out $329 or $333 with your 11% premium. And then another $20 on top. You're looking at $360 for this jumper you won for $300. So no, I don't like it. It's awful. I don't really understand the buyer's premium anyway. Like I'm sure the auctioneer house or auction house can just take a cut of the end result. Like I'm just going to charge the club or whoever a certain percentage. They don't need the buyer's premium. I don't really understand it. I'm sure there's something about it that they need potentially, but for me, I don't get it. You could just include it in the price. And yeah, the postage price is absolutely ridiculous. But I'm just not a fan of OM official memorabilia doing it. Reason for that, and there's a little bit of conversation about it yesterday, was there's just no, I guess there's no set process, and there's no people who are governing it, how it's actually run. So official memorabilia also did the grand final jumpers. So they had them up originally. They had grand final jumpers for Geelong and Sydney just as a pre-warning that this is going to happen. Didn't say that it was only going to be the winning team though, so that was pretty weird. So they took down the Sydney ones and don't know where they are. But what I gather, the Sydney are actually going to do their own auction for those, so keep an eye out for that. But anyway, so they got these Geelong jumpers up. All say match worn. There's a bit of an issue with it though. And this is where the problem lies. So Patrick Dangerfield, before the game started, I don't know when he said it, but said he was going to give away his grand final match worn jumper to Chad Corns or Kane Corns, can't remember which one it was. Apologies. As he was doing a run for charity, and he was obviously going to sell it on to him and he can do what he like with it to get some money for the charity run. But anyway, so they've put up the jumper as Paddy Dangerfield match worn, and people are bidding on it. However, he come the second quarter, he lost the patch off of his jumper. And everybody knows that, if you're bidding on a grand final jumper, you want to see the patch on the jumper. It's not going to happen. So you would expect that when you get Paddy Dangerfield's jumper come through as a match worn, it's going to come without a patch on it. Because I could just about bet you any money that the jumper he receives, or whoever wins, is probably going to have a patch on it. But you don't even know. So people are going to be bidding, really not knowing if that's a jumper they're going to get, if they're actually going to get a match worn. Because they don't know if he swapped. He probably didn't, unless he changed it at a quarter time, but nobody knows. The only way to fix that is they need to have a member of OM, or they need to have one of the clubmen from each club really governing it. So they need to have them in their locker room as they come in, even at halftime or quarter time if they need to, for grand finals especially. Because the grand finals have been disgusting the last few years, how they've run these auctions, because there's been a mess with at least one of the clubs constantly. So they just haven't got it right yet. And it's been club run auctions, not just official memorabilia that have been stuffing it up. Like Eagles did it, where they realised the players only wore one jumper, so they had to pull down the auctions. And Richmond, the same problem. They wore one, they didn't want to give up the match worn, so it was just a mess. So it hasn't changed. And having official memorabilia running it doesn't change either, because they're not there. They're not in the rooms when they're taking them off and they're changing them. So they can't make for certain that they've actually changed it, and that the jumper that they've had hanging up, oh yeah, that's a match worn. So they can just walk up and grab it and go, yeah, he must have worn it in the game. But you could probably say for just about certain that Paddy Dangerfield didn't change his jumper at all. Is he going to give away his match worn jumper? Probably, to give it to the charity, because that's what he said he'd do. What then happens with the one official memorabilia? Is it going to get cancelled, or are they going to give him a player issue jumper, not a match one? So, not a fan of official memorabilia doing it at all. I think what should happen is each club needs to hire somebody, or just assign somebody to be in the rooms as the players are coming in, and have a way of cataloging the jumpers. I know players sometimes don't like to take the jumpers off because it's a bit of a superstition thing, or they just feel comfortable. But I'm sorry, this is a business now, and jumpers are a big thing. Memorabilia is a huge thing. Over in the NBA in the US, it's massive. Like, you just do as you're told as a player, because the business is booming that much with memorabilia that it's part of the business. Doesn't matter if you feel comfortable wearing a jumper for how long or not, till halftime and change or whatever, or you just want to wear it the whole game. Sorry, but someone needs to be there governing it, saying, okay, cool, jumper off, and chuck it in a bag, seal it, and sticky, whatever they need to do to catalog the jumper. It needs to happen. So at the end of the day, they can say, this is exactly when this was worn, this is when it came off, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And it goes to wherever from there. But ideally, I'd like to see it done in-house in clubs, like everyone just takes control of it in their own club and not go off to somebody else, because obviously it's going to save the club money as well if they run it themselves. It's easy enough to do. There's plenty of clubs that are doing each auction on their own accord, and it works way better. Anyway, that's my long-winded answer. But
Needs to be more organisation.
It needs to be a lot more organisation, and it needs to be taken control of by the club, and they need to put somebody in control of it. That's the only way it can work. And I think the clubs are going to make a lot more money off it, because people are going to know exactly where it's come from. If they catalog it properly, take photos, if they have some sort of thing to say, click here or whatever, NFC tag, touch this, and it'll give you all the stats from the game that he wore it in or whatever, then it's just going to make more money for the clubs, because people are going to be far more invested in the jumper because they can know exactly where it came from. Anyway, that's my answer to that question. Thank you for that question, Scott. Appreciate it.
Can't be any worse than my rages I've had today on this show. Might have been really long.
Mine wasn't a rage. It was an answer. And I think it was a pretty fair answer.
Let's keep in mind that, yes, this episode has gone for a fair bit, but this is our first ever episode. So, yeah, we'll go for a little bit. We'll make sure we make them shorter next time.
Yeah, we've probably got a lot more to talk about in this one.
Especially because grand final, Brownlow.
That's right.
Finals. Yeah, there's been a lot to talk about.
Anyway, third question.
Next question is, Blake, what's your feelings about more people collecting jumpers you need than moving them on to others?
Do you want to repeat that?
That's how we wrote it. What's your feelings about more people collecting jumpers you need than moving them on to others?
Okay, so I think what he means there is somebody buying a jumper that perhaps they may know that you are trying to collect, and then moving them on or selling them, trading them to somebody else
Or to make more of a profit off
to
you.
potentially make more of a profit or get a better trade
Yeah.
value out of it. Whatever.
Knowing you need it, so getting it under your nose basically to get what they want out of you.
Potentially. So that definitely happens as well. So, I mean, there are times where there are people out there who just want to collect and they may not know that that's a thing where someone's trying to collect every jumper from the club's history. That does happen. Ideally, what you'd like to see is them work together to make a solution so everybody's happy and they do a trade or sell or whatever. Everybody's happy. As long as everybody's looking after each other, I think that's the best way to do it. Um, I hate it when someone deliberately goes behind your back and does exactly that, buy something just because maybe they know you're after it, tries to move it on to you for a lot more money or get something off you. I mean, I understand if potentially the person who is trying to buy the jumper for their collection to be able to collect potentially can't afford it. So they're going to buy it and then saying, all right, cool, you couldn't afford it, so let's make a trade deal. That's no problem whatsoever there. I understand that. As long as it's, mutual between the two parties, that's an agreement, then all sweet, all love and fair. But it is a hobby as well. So it will happen that someone's going to pick up a jumper that you may need. It just happens in this collecting game. There's no point getting bitchy about it because shit happens. And I'm sure I've done that plenty of times where I've got a jumper that people want and they've got upset with me. But, if you come to me nicely and ask for a jumper, hey, I was hoping I'd pick up that jumper that you just picked up, or most time I'll work with them, especially if it's not my club. If it's Frio, it's hard unless it's like an amazing jumper that I need to collect or a Monday or something, or it's a part of the 110 jumpers that I need to collect to get the whole history. Sometimes it's difficult, but a lot of the times, if I have a jumper that someone has a specific reason they really want it, so someone's got a sentimental reason they went to school with them or whatever, I quite often will work with them. Or if it's a club that I don't collect, more often than not, that if someone's like desperate for a jumper that I have, I'll work with them as well. So it's a hard one. I think if someone's doing it deliberately, and then it's a shit thing to do, and it probably shouldn't happen, and something we don't want in the hobby. And it's also a way of getting yourself a reputation that's
I
not going to
was
get you very far.
just about to say that people need to remember, like, you don't have to like every football club, and you all don't have to collect the same thing, but it's a community. Like, it's a community of people, the amount of people, of friends you have made out of this. And if someone's constantly trying to screw you over just to get one up on you, then you're not going to make yourself a very good name in the community. And then not only is it going to upset you, but it'll upset other people. And then other people will go, well, I don't want to deal with him, if that's what they're doing. I don't want to deal with that person if that's what they're doing to my friend. It's a community. We all help each other out, but don't do it in a horrible way. Like, don't buy something under someone's nose, or, don't say, if someone says, oh, I've actually got a buyer for this already, and go, oh, actually, I'll offer you so much more than that, because you're just going to upset the person that originally was going to buy it, and then you're just going to get yourself a bad name in the entire community, and then no one's going to want to deal with you. No one's going to want to help you because you're not helping yourself.
Well, that's
So,
the thing is everybody talks, so
yep.
there is a lot of people out there who will talk amongst each other, and if someone's done something that maybe isn't the worst thing in the world, but it can be made out as, oh, this guy screwed me over, and then things can get worse from there. So people can talk down the line, oh, this guy screwed over this guy, and then get to the fifth person in the line, and that guy's gone to completely screwed over this person. It gets
It's
worse
just
down the
it's
line.
whispers. It's Chinese whispers, and so, like, yeah, you might say someone screwed you over in a jersey, and you might say, oh, it's not a big deal. I would have really loved that, but it's not a big deal. And then that person will go, oh, you should see what this person did to Aaron. Oh, and then this other person will be like, oh, did you hear what happened to Aaron? And it gets worse and worse and worse. And so, yeah, you just remember that, like, people talk, people make things seem bigger than they are. So if you want to be in the community and you want to be helped and you want to help others, then be in it, but don't be a jerk about it.
Yeah. Well, as I said on podcast previously, don't be a dick is a is a pretty big thing in the community.
Yes.
But yes, that is my answer for Blake. Thank you, Blake Cook, for your question.
He also said he's not a fan of buyer's premium. Load of shit.
There you go.
And
I agree. I don't understand it, to be
question
honest.
is from Nick. He said, do you think that the trend of AFL auction prices will keep trending upwards, Or after the huge increases over the last 2 to 3 years, do you think that we should expect a
Plateau.
haha, that word?
Nick Giannotti, thank you very much, Nick. If you aren't aware, Nick runs some of the functions that the players put on. So, Sportsman's Night, I guess they call them, where they go and they talk about their stories of their AFL career or clubs or coaching histories. Have a good night, and they do auctions and things like that. So make sure you're following Nick, so you can follow any of his upcoming events. Thank you, Nick, for your question. What was that question again? I totally forgot what it was now that I said that. Actually, no, it's all good. So,
Do you want me to read
no,
it?
all good. I remember. So, Nick, it's a really interesting question, actually, because it hasn't seemed to slow down at all until very recently. So, I've noticed that this year, things started to get a little bit slower. And the only reason I believe that is because Richmond jumpers used to just be nuts. You couldn't pick up anything Richmond under $600-700. And I've picked up a couple this year for under $300, $250 $300, which was unheard of even last year. Obviously, it's because they've been playing so well. However, I've put up quite a few jumpers recently that just haven't moved at all, and have had no interest whatsoever. Whereas in the last couple of years, stuff like this would have been snapped up within seconds. So hard to say, and I think a lot of people seem to be going more towards the auctions. They seem to be spending, well, Freo especially, is spending a lot more at the auctions. Port Adelaide look like they're slowing down a little bit on their auctions. They're potentially only doing one thing a year instead of doing multiple auctions or lottos and raffles and all sorts of other mystery things that they do to piss people off, and um, just becomes a mess. But from what I can tell, is it looks like it is plateauing. I don't think it's going to get lower. I do see a lot of young fans, new fans coming in and then bailing pretty quickly. So they seem to be going hard real fast, and then they just bounce. I think because they realize that it's pretty expensive hobby to be in, and mummy and daddy's credit card doesn't always fly. So it's weird. I have seen a lot of young fans come in, go really hard, annoy some people. A lot of questions being asked. There's nothing wrong with asking for some advice and some help. Just remember that you're not the only one. So if I don't get back to you straight away, I'll get back to you at some point. But just remember that there's a lot. I get a lot of questions. I get probably 40 or 50 messages a day from people wanting just advice.
And you also work a full-time job.
And I work a full-time job, so there are some people out there who message me probably 35 times a day, just wanting an answer to a question he's asked over and over again. I apologize that I'm not answering you straight away, but I do work. I have a full-time job, as Em said. I'll get back to you when I can. But I've gone on a tangent there. But anyway, I think it's plateauing. I don't think it's going to skyrocket anymore. I'd hope not, because Freo jumpers would be impossible to buy. But it seems that people only want the current jumpers. So beforehand, it was the older jumpers, the 2000s, the 90s, the 80s. They used to go nuts. But when people put them up now, they don't really seem to go as crazy over them anymore. It's the new jumpers, the new players, the exciting players that people want. That seems to be going more higher value, which is really weird to see from when I started 9 years ago. But yeah, I think we're plateauing. I hope we're plateauing. I hope it's going to drop. But obviously the more that we get available, and it is happening, there's a lot more jumpers coming out onto the market. It's going to slow down the values, and things will get a little bit cheaper, and some of those higher price players will come down in value and be a little bit easier to pick up some good stuff for cheaply priced. But yeah, thanks, Nick. Appreciate your question and look forward to seeing you soon.
That is it.
So that's all of your questions we have. Okay, well, good. So we're on to our last segment today. This will be the last segment we have of every cave session. As I mentioned, we're going to do a wheel, and we're going to draw one of the numbers that you guys have given us a long time ago. That at the time I was going to just do a little YouTube series. It was just going to be just this segment pretty much, where I was just going to show you what was in the cave. But now we've turned it into a full cave sessions. Myself and Em just talk shit for an hour and a half.
Entertaining.
And then we get to the segment where we are going to spin the wheel, and then Em's going to get up and look at the wall behind you. It'll be all those cabinets, and she's going to pick out that number that was drawn, and I'm going to tell you who it was as well. Or you'll see it, because I'm going to bring up the wheel, and you'll actually see who the wheel who's on that wheel. So let's do that now. Let's go over to the wheel. And now you can see both myself and Emma at the same time. That's really weird. Didn't think I was going to do that before. About 5 minutes before we started recording. Late decision. All right, let's do it. Em actually can't see the wheel, so I'm going to have to spin the wheel and then tell her the number. So here we go. Oh, that was Milo if you heard that. Yeah, she's grumbling. Off she goes. If you can hear that, I apologize.
She's having a go at someone walking past.
So there's quite a lot of numbers on that wheel and a lot of names. So let's give it a spin and find out what number jumper M is going to go searching for. I wouldn't be surprised if it is a high number because M's going to have to count for a while, I reckon. Or that's it. Well, I don't know what this is. 167. It almost was 5. So Emma's now going to the cabinet, as you can see. So she's now going to count every single jumper. 167. What I'm going to do here is I am going to cut, or I'm going to fast forward. So we're going to go through really quickly until M gets to it. So see you in just a second. So Emma has found jumper number 167. It took a few minutes. I was counting along with her. She seemed to get it right. So we've got there. So number 167 was picked by Aiden Johnson, who is a Bulldogs man and is a good man. So it's good to see Aiden's number come out first. So what we're doing right now is Emma is going to show you the jumper and we're going to talk about it a little bit. We're basically just going to tell you a little bit about the jumper, where it came from. And Emma's just messing up the camera, by the way. Oh, look, just walking past us. So we're just going to talk a little bit about the jumper, where it came from, potentially how much you paid for it, or maybe not. Any little information that you might want to know about it. So I'll flick over to M now, and while we were doing that, while Emma was finding the jumper, we fast forwarded through. Milo's joined us as well in the cave. So if you hear her tick, there she goes. There she goes. The little tail just went past, little antenna. So she's got jumper number 167 in her hands right now. This one came from the 2020 sale, the end of season Freo Docker sale, and it is a number 5 Adam Chera. I believe it's got quite a few Grippo stains on it, if I remember correctly.
Got a lot of staining on the front.
Yeah, so if you hold that up close to the camera, you should be able to see potentially the Grippo stains. Probably not. What if you can see it in my camera? Let's have a look.
It's like there and there.
Yeah, let's have a look. Let's have a look and see if you can see it in my camera. It's a good quality camera.
You see Milo in the background.
You can see a little bit of grass stain on that V there. And then there is a Grippo stain. Yeah. And then the Grippo stain next to the Woodside logo, which you sort of can't see. But yeah, so the good thing about the Freo Dockers end of season sale is most of the time they come in the condition when they last came off the ground. So if they did wear it multiple times, obviously it'll be still in the condition it came off the last time they wore it. So they did have a little tag number on the number and a color on the tag. You hold the jumper up, or
sorry?
People want to see the jumper. They don't want to know anything else. So I can't remember. There was so they have a color for each value of the jumper. It changes every year. So they've color coded the prices. So it changes every year. I believe that year that color was $100 or $150.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure from memory it's like green is
doesn't matter because it changed every year.
Yeah, every year it changes. So it'll be like green dots are 50, purple dots are 100, blue dots are 250. Yeah,
et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. So anyway, but from memory, the 2020, this was the second sale, if I remember correctly. So obviously post-COVID as well, which I'm very surprised I actually got to have it. Us here in WA were pretty lucky with COVID. And as you can see, the double sponsor on the back program.
That's heat press too.
The top one is heat press, which is pretty cool. So underneath that was just the standard Freo Dockers logo, which they wore in round 1 before they went and changed these over in round 2 to have these double sponsored logos on the back. Obviously, this being Adam Chera, it is still a little bit painful to see, but it's a nice jumper to come out because it is quality jumper. And it is good to see stains on it. Now, there's another thing that you can tell from these 2020 jumpers, the ISC ones anyway, is the tag on the net tag. They actually changed in 2020. So 2019, the on-field net tag was actually slightly different. If I had one to show you, I would show you the difference. But yeah, just know that on the 2020 ones, that net tag is different. So if I can, I'll show you a video or a picture of the 2019 jumpers being slightly different with that tag. It's also a way you can tell if you've got yourself a 2020 round 1, is if that neck tag is the same as that with the on-field ISC, or if it is a slightly different tag, but it doesn't have the sponsor on the back, then you can tell whether it's 2020 round 1 or around 2019. So there you go. I think I paid $100 or $150 for that one from memory, and it is from the Freo Dockers Locker sale. So there you go. That is what is in the cave today. Adam Chera. So it's a little bit sad to see an Adam Chera. Yeah.
So much had to be a Chera.
Yeah. Nice jumper though. I love it. Yeah. So obviously as we go along, there'll be a lot more Freo jumpers because there are probably about 300 in there. So you'll find that any number between 1 and 300, you'll find some Freo jumpers being talked about. But anything early, I think is going to be really exciting to talk about because there'll be a lot of early stuff in there. So look forward to that. And on obviously after 300, you've got a lot of other clubs. You've also got some Waffle, you've got some AFLW, and you've got some NBA jerseys. You've also got some Perth Wildcats, other NBL. You've even got some Dexter stuff in there as well.
Yeah, some Dexter clothing.
And some wrestling worn stuff, WWE worn stuff, et cetera, et cetera. So not just Freo stuff in the cave. As you can tell from behind my head, you can see a lot of ring-worn masks, some ring-worn Enzo Amore Jordans, a PS3 rather, over here, which is the infamous David Mundy PS3. If you've ever heard the show before, and you've got a lot of wrestling belts in there as well. So the cave is full of a lot of stuff, and not just our bullshit. But speaking of bullshit, today's bullshit session is over. So thank you for joining me, Emma. I hope you've enjoyed the first episode as much as I have.
Probably should cut it down a bit though. It's so long.
Episode 2, we'll probably have it cut in half at least.
Again, it doesn't help. It's end of footy season. It's like grand final, Brownlow.
Well, hopefully you've enjoyed the show. If you haven't, please don't let us know. But no, if you have any suggestions, let us know for sure. If you have any segment ideas given to us, we'd love to help. Love to put your ideas into the show. If you anything you want us to talk about or have any questions for us, please don't hesitate to ask. If you want to see more of Emma or less of Erin, let me know for sure.
Blake will say yes to that.
Hat or no hat is
hat or no hat. I'm apparently too white to have no hat on, so
and not just the skin tone, but it's the hair.
No,
the
it's
hair
my
is
hair.
so white on top, and we've got ring lights on either side of it.
Yeah, because my hair is bleach blonde.
So it does look rather weird having a bright bleach blonde head when you couldn't actually see it at first. From when I first started pressing record, you couldn't actually see her hair, so it looked bald on top. Anyway, I hope you enjoy the show. Yeah, thank you very much for joining me, Emma. I appreciate it.
Thanks.
And I guess I'll see you inside. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining me. And thank you again to the fabric of our club, LA Crows Lads, Crowject. And make sure you pick up yourself a copy. Appreciate it. And we will see you on the next one. Thank you very much. Goodbye. Good night.